Wake up, really gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flaws, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause of sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up, really gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
See, I don't know about y'all, but like for real, I don't mind being talked about. My problem come in when they start making stuff up. So you can talk about me all you want. It is what it is. You know, it's either I did it or I didn't. I said it or I didn't. Whatever the case is, I don't care. I let whoever think whatever, feel whatever. That's on them. You know what I'm saying? But it's the making up part. It's the lying part. It's the adding on to part that always get me. I don't mind being talked about. It's when y'all start lying that bothers me.
Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
So good morning, everyone. I'm going to turn my camera back on. I know I'm lagging here this morning. I know it for a fact. I can see it on the back end that the internet is not really that great. It's not holding up, and it's probably going to get a little degraded before it gets better because I'm trying to download 16 photos and 29 videos that I prepared yesterday so they can be uploaded on I mean, they're just raw footage. I haven't edited them or anything, but I figured I'd give you guys a tour of what was going on. And I did some, oops, wrong one. On this phone here, I actually did some videos of the, go to photos, library, so favorite. I don't even know how to get to my photos on here. But I want to show you guys the photo that I have. Took a video of the drive yesterday. I got like 30 minutes of drive time, and I wanted you guys to see some of these houses. They're like crazy ridiculous. This was one of them right here. Oh, that was the second one. I wanted you guys to see some of the houses and where these people live. I mean, it's crazy. These people have lots of money. The kids that were involved in this whole Trent case, with like one of them, and I can't remember which one it was. Hold on, I'll tell you in just a second. The Rays, W-R-A-Y, the Rays. They're the ones that live in a modest apartment, still on the island. So I know they're probably paying an arm and a leg for it. But at the end of the day, they are, everybody out there has businesses, large businesses and property and massive properties. I mean, not massive, like 1,700 acre, well, except for one of them has a landing that's just ridiculously huge. It's just like a reserve, but it goes on for miles and miles for as far as the eye can see. And that's the Village Creek Landings is owned by one of the parents, the kids that were involved. Now, not necessarily, I don't want to say involved, but at least there at the time. We've uncovered several names. I did find a report, but like I said, I'm downloading quite a few videos. I may have to parse it up and just send what I want to watch, but I don't know. I was going to go through them and I didn't. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Well, let me find out which screen I need to be on first, because I don't want to have any problems with the download like I already did this morning. So give me just a second. Let me figure out where I need to be on the screen. Oh, the incidents. So I will go ahead and I'm going to read this to you guys so you guys can see it. So give me just a second. So here it is. This is a report release. This is while en route, dispatch advised me that someone in blank wanted to make a report on a hazing that occurred somewhere on St. Simon's Islands. Dispatch had no information after that. Once at the hospital, I walked to blank. I observed a white male lying motionless on a hospital bed hooked up to a ventilator surrounded by Mark Lehrkamp father. So we know that, Mark has been an advocate for his son. He's been out in news. He's been trying to bring attention to his son. Blank, his sister, which we know his sister and stepmother. I walked to the nurse's station and spoke to Dr. Blank, and Nurse Blank stated that around 8:30 p.m. to 8:43 p.m., a white Jeep Wrangler 4-door pulled up to the ER. 3 occupants got out of the Jeep saying the male in the back seat, later identified as Trenton Lehrkamp, was unresponsive after drinking vodka and antidepressants. Blank went to the rear of the Jeep and opened the door and found Trent lying unresponsive with shallow breathing. Blank observed that Trenton's clothes were soaked with urine. Trenton was spray painted, Trenton had spray paint all over his body and hair with small bruises on his left shoulder. As Blank got Trenton out of the vehicle, the 3 occupants, identified as Blank, Blank, and Blank, kept asking if they were free to leave. Blank asked them if they could write their names and phone numbers on a sheet of paper in case Blank had any more questions. All 3 agreed and then got back into the Jeep and drove off. Blank stated that Trenton's breathing was 6 times per minute. Trenton could not breathe independently, so they had to sedate him and put him on a ventilator. Blank also noted that Trenton's blood alcohol level was 0.464. We learned that was an ungodly amount. That's like death, comatose, which was. I first spoke to Mark. who stated that the last time he saw Trenton was earlier that day at about 4:52 p.m. Trenton was perfectly fine and went to his friend's house. Blank later, Blank, I'm assuming that's the friend's name. Later that day, around 8:40 p.m., Blank told Mark that something had happened to Trenton and that he might be at the hospital. Mark called the hospital and asked if Trenton had been dropped off. The hospital immediately, or excuse me, hospital staff informed Mark that Trenton was dropped off. Mark needed to get there immediately. When it says when Mark arrived, but I think that was a typo, and said when Mark arrived, he saw that Trenton was on a ventilator. Mark stated this was not the first time Trenton had gone to Blank's house and returned hurt. Last Friday, on the 17th of March. Now, we're going to get into a conversation about this, guys. I can't read your comments at the moment while I'm reading this, but I will get over there. But we're going to talk about this. On the 17th of March, Trenton came home covered in WD-40, vomit, paint, glue, egg yolk, and spray paint. Mark stated that Trenton seemed high or drunk, and 2 weeks prior, Mark had to take Trenton to the emergency room because he came home with a severe laceration over his left eye that required stitches. Mark says whenever Trenton goes to Blank's house, he never returns home normal. Mark states that the reason why Trenton goes over to Blank is because Trenton has no other friends. When Trenton is at Blank's house, he is accepted with people he thinks cares for him. Mark also believes that since they are younger than Trenton, he might think that they look up to him. Mark also said that Trenton would not fight or defend himself against Blank or any of the other juveniles because Trenton knows that since they are minors, if he hurts them, he will get in serious trouble. Mark also states that Trenton had recently been Blank. There's a whole redacted section here, so we don't know what that is. Mark has photos and videos of all past incidences where Trenton has come home from Blank's house hurt and covered in objects. Mark also has pictures of the location where Trenton's phone was pinging, which shows Blank's house. I then spoke, so they've got data on this thing, and we're here, 2 weeks. We've got this sheriff in Marion County, Florida, that ended up finding people and arresting people within a day, 24 hours of their crime. Now, granted, that was a murder, but this could have been. This really could have been. This man was on his deathbed when he arrived at the hospital. They had to sedate him and put him in on ventilation, which means that he was on life support. Life support. So, and this is not the first time. And his father clearly has plenty of evidence. So if he's been taking pictures and he's got this, and now his son almost died, I don't see any proper parent not going after the juvenile's parents, all of them. But it was at one person's house, and that person is by far the most well-to-do and the most wealthy of these. Well, maybe not the most wealthy. I think one of the girls' parents, they're pretty well-to-do themselves. So, and they have a huge house that appears to be on the water. It's down a drive, but definitely a large upscale house. I spoke with Blank, who stated the last time he talked to Trenton was on the phone at 5:48 for about 43 seconds. Blank stated it was about a missing Minion toy she was trying to find for their little brother. Trenton, so that must have been the sister that talked to him that day. Trenton said he would return it to him and then hung up suddenly. Blank didn't think anything of it and carried on with her day. 2 hours later, at 8:39, she got a message from Blank on Snapchat saying, I'm not going to use the N word. Oh my God, I know you're sick of hearing it, but like I wasn't there, but like Trenton is effing dying apparently. Blank asked Blank where. He replied, take a guess, Blank mother MFing Blank basement. Blank then checked her brother's phone location, and it showed a ping at the hospital. While Blank was en route to the hospital with her father and mother, she got a voicemail from Blank stating what had happened to Trenton and that Blank had told Blank what they did. So this idea that law enforcement doesn't know who was involved and how they were involved is ludicrous. And it's not hard to look at the statutes in the state and find out where they fall in the statutes of criminality. We're going to talk about a little bit more. We've got one more sentence, and then I'm going to come back to you guys. Mark was able to give me a video and photos of the past incident with Trenton returning from Blank's house. Blank provided me with pictures of the Snapchat message and from Blank and the voicemail she was given while en route to the hospital. As of 12:19 a.m. on March 22nd, 2023, Trenton is still on a ventilator and moved to ICU. No charges have been given. At this time. Video and photos uploaded to evidence.com. Nothing further at this time. So this is the public release incident report from the police department. Was that good? And I haven't said good morning to you guys, and I apologize. When we're out here, I kind of get off my normal routine. Did that come in at least clear enough? I know my video, or my internet is kind of lagging this morning. So I want to make sure you guys can all see me and hear me. But that's serious stuff. That man almost died. And this idea that the police department in Glenn County is just trying to dot the I's and cross the T's. No, the subjects of the criminal investigation are wealthy people. That's what the problem is here. They are wealthy people. It's a bit grainy, but still good. Okay. Well, as soon as I'm halfway through all the videos and stuff download. And when I get that done, I will try to convert on the hotspot box. The hotspot box seems like it's doing much better and has a better frequency, but I can't do that right now because I don't want to screw up the download to the computer. So I'm kind of stuck. So I appreciate it. Thank you for informing me of that. I just want to say good morning to everybody. I didn't have an opportunity to say good morning because we have so much to cover, and I'm out here, and I have a funny feeling I'm not going to be able to get the videos and photos up. But I went to every single one of the people that were listed in this report, not in this report, but listed by people in the community that said, hey, this is what's going on. We need, let me pull this up. Actually, let me put this down. I've got another thing I want to read to you guys. Now, this is what I'm about to read to you next, and what I'm about to show you next. It cannot be taken as factual information, and it's coming from a third party. It is, but it does, there is a lot of information in here that I've found that does bode with what we're hearing, and some of the information that I acquired shows that most of this on this post, it has been confirmed and accurate. I'm still working on the information, but police know who was there. Police know who was there. They have talked to everybody there. Now, whether the parents got them attorneys or not, that's not what somebody's net worth should not matter to what the charges they receive or how you handle the case. And I feel like, if this was anybody else besides this group of kids, something would have already been done by now. I truly believe that in my heart and soul. And I am just very, very upset that something in this day and age in 2023, that we can still be having these issues. I don't care what your net worth. I could care less whether you're on Skid Row or sleeping in the Taj Mahal. I don't care. You break the law, you are no different than anybody else. The justice should be blind. There shouldn't be a two-tier justice system in our country, especially not here in Georgia, where you had some of the whole civil rights and all of the racial issues that you guys had way back when. You guys have done leaps and bounds to overcome so much, to now allow the wealthy to rule your community and do whatever they want. You're not transmitting, the screen is blank. Am I blank on every screen, or maybe it's just this Facebook user? Is anybody else on Facebook? Let me run over to Facebook. They're saying my screen went blank on Facebook. I don't know if it did or not. I'm in the group, right? Just want to make sure. No, I'm up there. I can see myself. I'm there. It might be shaky because it looks like it's shaky a little bit. No, I can see my lips moving normally. So it looks like we're okay over there. Maybe the faculty is already an overload with cases and might not have the ability to process this case yet. Yeah, but typically that's not the case. But at least that's not what law enforcement is telling us. That's not what law enforcement is stating at all, unfortunately, Caroline. They're basically stating that they're just doing a very thorough and a complete investigation. And that's coming from the assistant chief of police. So I don't think they're overloaded with cases here. I mean, this is a small community, and this type of case would go to the top of the pile because they do have crime here, just like any other place. And listen to this. And I keep wondering, we know all these kids went to that Glenn Academy. I went to Glenn Academy yesterday. It's in the middle of a freaking ghetto. I'm dead ass serious. The school itself is well maintained, big and beautiful. It's got huge iron gates around it that close. They have security on campus. I mean, it's a nice school. It's a nice school. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But this school is in the middle of a ghetto. And I keep wondering how much of that bad element is seeping into that school just by location. Is somebody else getting sponsored to go to that school that might have been, bringing some bad habits there? When they leave that school and go and maybe go to the convenience store around the corner or something, in that bad element, are they picking up bad habits because of the community in which their school is in? Not saying anything about the school per se. I believe that the school looks like a very good school. I mean, just by the appearance and the way it's maintained. And, while I was outside of those iron gates, there was no kids at the school at the time, and nor would I have recorded the children. I know the haters would say, no. Whenever children come up on this channel, it's purely by mistake. If there's a child's face on this camera, on this channel, with the exception of stuff in publications, like when I went to the red carpet event, they had permission to publicize those things. Therefore, I had permission to utilize that material. So what I'm saying is that there was permission given for that, and that's the right way to do, everything. So if there's ever a child based on this channel, you bet your butt that it was done by error and needs to be corrected. Even with that whole wannabe drug thug, that picture just came to me. I didn't even notice the children in it, so I had obviously no problem blurring their faces out. Because that wasn't the intent, and many of you guys know that. The people that follow me know the reality of it. So we covering this Trenton case, Trenton Lehrkamp case, because I had been watching. Many of you guys know I had an opportunity to briefly meet Brett Buffington, but while I was in Georgia, because he wasn't the only investigative journalist out there, I followed him to catch, to see what else he found out for the Leilani Simon case and everything like that. And so one of the things that I noticed is that, he was really the only reporter reporting on this case out here. And I was wondering, I mean, there's a few articles coming from other news organizations, but definitely not a thorough, press being really involved in providing their community with real information. The only person I've seen do that really is Brett Buffington. And I keep wondering why. Why is Brett the only one that's here covering this case? And he's not even from Glenn County. He works at WSAV in Chatham County in Savannah, Georgia. So I don't know why he's here when there's other news organizations here. Not that he shouldn't be covering it by any means. That's not the point I'm getting at. The point I'm getting at is, why is there no local news organizations really covering this case like Brett? And come to find out, one of the children that were at the house at the time of this incident at the time of this incident. Now, I don't know if he was physically involved with some of the shenanigans and assault that took place and the torture that took place on Trenton, but the parents work at Brunswick News, local news here. That's a problem for me. So we have one that's tied to politics. We have one that's tied to the news. We have one that's a realtor. One that's been here that has that's literally the epitome of St. Simon's Island. Like, you don't think of St. Simon's Island without the Strother name. The Strother name is synonymous with St. Simon's Island, along with the Goulds. And believe it or not, in 2014, there was a union between a Gould and a Strother. Now you have this massive, huge family that really embodies the hierarchy of St. Simon's Island. Now, Struthers, that is the house. Again, I told you, Strother name is synonymous with St. Simon's Island. And this incident happened at the Struthers home. So you're talking about a very, very, very wealthy, very rooted family in this community. Very rooted in this community, being the subject of this crime. We're hearing that it's possible that the parents were home at the time. I have not found anything to conclusively confirm that. So I can't say that that is true, even though we're hearing about it. But let me show you my screen. Let me take this comment off. Let me show you my screen. Do we know what politics are? Not that they're relevant, just nosy. Honestly, I have not looked at the leanings of this community. I have not looked at, I would like to pull those records. But the reason why I'm able to say that they're political is because of great-grandfather, 1943, being the commissioner of the county, or one of the commissioners of the county. And I no doubt, undoubtedly, I believe he was the commissioner of the district that had St. Simon's Island, but I haven't confirmed that yet. A lot of work still needs to go in. I just went around to look at these properties, look at what the parents own, just kind of digging into the financial aspect of it, because let's be honest, when we start hearing hinky things going on in communities, we know one thing, it's either political or money. When we start hearing about law enforcement dragging their feet. And maybe that's might be why they're dragging their feet. Maybe they realize that these people have money, they're going to be pushing hard. You know, the state prosecutor needs to have all the information, but that's at time when they go to trial. They have plenty of time from now to the time of trial to get all that worked out. But if you see a crime, you should be arrested. You should be able to arrest for that crime. And don't think for 1 minute that they don't have enough evidence at this point to charge somebody with something at this point. It doesn't matter whether they get all the people all at once. We don't care if they just do a big sting and go and grab them all and bring them all down to the jail all at once. We don't care about that. We don't care if right now, all they have right now is contributing to the delinquency of a minor. We don't care. That is a charge you can charge somebody with. So go ahead and make that charge. And if you have any additional charges that come through your investigation, because we know the investigation continues up to trial. It doesn't just stop because there's a charge. We know that because we've been around the block a few times. We know how this whole criminal, court system thing kind of works at this point. Even the lay person watching this channel gets an understanding of how courts, from the time of arrest, what goes on. And we know that when they're arrested, it's not the end of the investigation. That's why there's so many times people get arrested and then while in jail, they're charged with additional crimes. This illusion that these law enforcement like to tell, see, this is the problem we have in this country. If you're not educated on these things, when somebody feeds you a bunch of BS, you don't know they're feeding you a bunch of BS because you don't know. We here in the true crime community watch these cases all over the country, watch watch how they're handled from a criminal, just from a missing person or, the complaint up to it being moved to a criminal investigation, up to it being moved to a homicide investigation. We know when they tell us one thing, but they're doing another, we know that even though they're not telling the public, they have moved the case from just a missing person to a criminal investigation or even from a criminal investigation to a homicide. We just know because of the actions they're taking, such as telling us we don't need any community volunteers at this point. That means that they don't believe this person is in and around the area, or if they are, they're not alive. That's what they're telling you when they tell you that. Now, we know that because we study this stuff and we get to the heart of this. And as many of you know, I work with a lot of great sheriffs, communicate with them and throw things off. Great sheriffs, not just in Florida, but around the country. I communicate with them. So it's not like we're stupid over here. It's not like we don't know what the policies and procedures are with law enforcement investigations. Now, we don't know the intricacies of the investigation, who they're calling in, what kind of resources they're using, but we do know that in the first 48 hours, they amass a massive amount of evidence that they now have to take and go through. Here, there's only a limited amount of evidence. We don't have a huge crime scene here. We have a consolidated area where the crime was took place. They have identified every single last person that was at the house at this time. Now, mind you, this is where I get really irritated. We know this is not the only crime perpetrated on Trenton. This is by far the most severe. But this is not the first assault he had to undergo while being at that house. This is the third in just a matter of, from what I understand, in a very short period of time. Third, we know law enforcement has been over that house 11 times in 8 months. That's what we know. Those are facts that you can't dispute. So that was a troubled house. So why did Carlton and Lauren not knock this stuff off with their children? Why was their child able to just run amok among the community with no reprimands? They didn't punish this kid. They had officers at their house 11 times. Can you imagine what that basement must look like? Mom must just not even go. They must just checked out and said, I don't even want to know what they're doing. I don't even want to know what they're doing. Like, what kind of parenting is that? In a court case, when court one is dropped, hold on, let me get back up. That just moved down. In a court case, when count one is dropped and there is an added 2 count, that is because the higher charge is dropped and the defendant takes lesser plea. Dad, that's correct. So typically, and we've talked about this on the case, no matter whether you're doing a complaint or an answer or a motion to dismiss, your strongest argument is always the first one on the sheet. You don't put the little stuff and then the smaller stuff or the larger stuff down at the bottom. You put your the one that has the most evidence and relevance, the ones that's strongest arguments are always first. And then you work your way back to your weakest arguments. And it's the same way in a criminal complaint. You put your strongest arguments up front and the strongest charges up front and the lesser charges below. So it's kind of the same thing. But yes, that's how I've been taught. That's how I've always been taught. 11 times, Stacy, that is correct. That is correct. It does. And that's what I was trying to say, Kay, is this does have a lot of leanings toward like the Murdaugh case, but not the Murdaugh murder trial. This is the one with Paul, the boat accident. This is a lot of the same thing with the boat accident. The differences between this case and that case is all these kids are juveniles. All of them, with the exception of Trenton. They're all juveniles. So Trenton, however, in the Murdaugh case, Paul was an adult. So technically, he would have been the one that should have been sued. And we all know Paul was, his parents were wealthy, but Paul wasn't. So they had to do some strategic lawyering to make the argument that Alec Murdaugh was responsible. And the only way they could make that leap was subpoenaing Paul's girlfriend's records and phone records to identify that his family knew of his drinking problem and did not do anything about it, and including giving him, knowing he was driving vehicles under the influence of alcohol and knowing he was manning his dad's boat while under the influence. His dad was aware that that was his, the way he handled himself, his MO, so to speak, just not a crime. I guess it was a crime, but they knew he was drinking, and they knew they didn't do anything about it, nor did they try to stop him, nor did they try to take things away from him, like a pool or a boat. So they had that duty. And so they made that argument that Alec Murdaugh knew that his son was drinking and knew that his son would have been drinking, and it would have been known to his father that he would have been consuming alcohol, and therefore he should not have had access to that boat. And so they were able to make that legal argument to bring Alec Murdaugh into the case and now open him up to to his finances. This is a little different because all these kids truly are juveniles. So there's no dispute on who's financially responsible for Trenton. It's obviously the parents of these juveniles because their child is juvenile. Therefore, they are responsible financially for that juvenile and what that juvenile does. So they're going to be in hot water, and this is going to, and let me tell you, it's going to take a lot of money. It takes more money to try to save someone's life than to let them expire. So you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not close to $1 million or more. That his medical bills will end up costing his family. If he doesn't have insurance, and even if he does have insurance, they're not going to cover all of it. They're going to have some significant out of pocket expenses for their child. And the bottom line is that doesn't cover his pain, his rehabilitation, his suffering, his trauma. I can tell you that this boy is traumatized, and he's even more traumatized because he's also waking up to the reality that these were not his friends, that everybody that he thought was his friends weren't his friends, and they almost killed him. And still, this time later, nobody's in jail. Law enforcement has the video. Law enforcement knows who's in the house. Law enforcement has statements from everybody in the house. This boy was on his deathbed. The hospital was smart enough to get names and telephone numbers for the 3 that dropped him off, including the description of the vehicle that dropped him off, in the condition that he was in. Yet they, and according to Brett Buffington 11 hours ago, I read the post myself, said they're not expecting, they're working with the state attorney. When have we ever heard of somebody being tortured and violated and nobody goes to jail without the police going to the state attorney and saying, "Mother, may I?" When have we ever heard that before? I'm just curious. I was actually looking to move here. I actually had a realtor to move to Georgia because I love the area. It's cheaper for me to live here. I could sell my house and buy a house here, a beautiful house on nice acreage for the same cost as my Florida home and live nicer. And I was considering coming here, not necessarily this county, but this is the second county in Georgia that I've spent time in. And I'm not liking, I don't want to be murdered and already have my funeral and be, halfway through the Golden Gates before somebody's arrested, because it takes an act of God around here to arrest anybody for true crime. They get petty crime. They have no problem arresting people for petty crap, walking down the road and a petty theft here, a petty theft there. You go to jail for that kind of stuff. But torture somebody in Glenn County, you torture somebody and almost bring them to their death. Oh, you're good. You're good. All you need to have is parents with money. That's all you need is some parents with money. We're not going to bother you. We're not going to bother you. Right? That sounds pretty stupid. That's what I'm dealing with here. And the crap that they're feeding the public is a bunch of nonsense and word salad. We need to work with the prosecuting to see what no arrest. We're working on it. We're working on it. We've been hearing that a long time. We've been hearing that a really long time. I don't know what creative stuff you're gonna force feed the community about this case, but I don't understand how we're still here twiddling our thumbs almost 3 weeks later. I don't understand. 3 weeks. We have kids gunned down in Florida, and you got these people in jail in 24 hours. You come to Georgia, you have a mom identified as the primary suspect in the murder of her son. She throws her son away like garbage. They have all the evidence necessary to arrest her. She's on double probation, can't pass a drug test, still not in jail. It takes an act of God to put this woman in jail, and then they charge her with one crime, and the state attorney has to add additional 19 crimes to the case. That's not how it goes. When you commit a crime, you sit your ass in jail. Charge them, even if they bond out. I don't care. But you have enough for a charge. Probably multiple charges, as a matter of fact. I mean, I counted multiple charges under the Georgia criminal law code. Multiple charges here. And still not one. Now, we understand don't come here with the word salad of, we got to collect the evidence and do this and do that. Yeah, you had all the evidence in your possession, I guarantee, within 72 hours of this case being opened. I guarantee that. I bet your bottom dollar that you had every stitch of evidence you needed for this case within 72 hours, with the exception of the subpoenas for the phone records. Do you think guilt is proven guilt? I think I'm misunderstanding that. Yes, I've been meaning to follow up on the trial, and I know it's not available for restream, so I was hoping someone in the chat would, if resumed today, could catch me up. Lex, I'm not sure let me just go up and see if I can make heads or tails. So the Stout case, I don't know if you're talking about the West case. We got several major cases that are on trial in the same week. So we have the Daybell case that just started Monday. Was yesterday Monday? Yes, yesterday was Monday. So it just started yesterday. There's a content creator already out there covering the case. I'm sure you guys know who he is. If you guys want to follow him and his content over there, they're not running that live. So we're only getting tweets or other things like that. We're getting tweets and I think a video on breaks and stuff. So getting updated on that. Apparently it was really tough on, they had a witness up there, and Bordeaux, I can't remember the first name. Many of you guys know that particular person. Anyways, they were up there crying and gave great testimony. I believe the content creator was able to talk to, apparently Chad Daybell's attorney has been sitting in the overflow room watching the trial take place and taking copious notes. So I'm not sure if that has anything to do with, him, looking at legal strategy for Chad Daybell and how this case goes and maybe what not to do for his client's case. So it seems like he's here watching this, taking copious notes, and inside there, we saw a video of him coming into the area. First of all, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm obviously not banned by anything. I know people are out there trying to say that I'm banned somehow or I'm violating terms of service. No, I'm not. Everything, I've had 2 videos taken down for privacy issues that were appealed, and I won those appeals. So I actually can post those videos back up. The problem is that's not my cup of tea. The only reason, I will. If people really must want to see those videos, I will absolutely post them because I'm not concerned about them because I just went through the appeal process. So no community strikes, no problem. And no, I don't mass strike people, never have mass strike people. And as a matter of fact, I've been telling people in this chat and clowning, especially wannabe drug thug. I've been clowning her people because they're campaigning for all this mass. And I was laughing at them saying it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. You can't just go and and have band of people together and go to YouTube and tell them that we need this channel canceled, and they just cancel it. I've never been banned, blocked, terminated, or anything else on here. Never. I haven't even been timed out for 7 days. Give me a break. We talk about true crime here. We could care less about, wannabe drug thug beating up girls in front of and getting arrested for a felony because she decides she wants to beat up women for sleeping with her man. I'd say kick the man and be nicer to the female. But hey, that's just an adult way of dealing with shit. I don't know how other people deal with it, but I don't go beat up girls that are sleeping with my boyfriend. I would be more inclined to beat up my boyfriend than the girl because he's the one that would know. But that's what people would want, right? Battery Betty, right? So, but I've never even been in a fight over somebody sleeping with my man. That's so ghetto and so trashy. It's not even funny. So she can beat up these girls all she wants in front of her children, mind you. So her children had to witness her assault a woman inside of a store and outside of a store. And then the children had to witness their mother being arrested for a felony for beating up that woman inside that store and outside of the store. But hey, she's worried about trauma. What about the trauma she's causing to her own children? And I'm allowed to talk about that on here. And there's nothing you guys can do about it. Clearly, you've been trying and it hasn't worked. I don't know what to say to you. You guys are failures and you suck at your job. That's all I can say. I mean, if your only job is to take Bullhorn Betty out and after 2 years, I haven't even received a community strike, you're probably failing at your calling. Probably need to maybe do something else. Just saying. Oh, we got a little Karen in here. That's funny because I'm in ghettos and I can be in ghettos in Manatee County and not see one black person there. So how is it racist? Ghettos are ghettos. Isn't that your slang, right? Get these people out of here. These people are so stupid. You probably live in one. That's probably why you're feeling offended. Yes, it's ghetto. It's ghetto. And then you got somebody saying, by the way, guys, we have our raffle going on right now. If you guys, it's going to be ending Friday at 8 p.m. The winner is going to be called on. So you notice my theme here. Every time somebody tells us or goes to their audience and says, oh, you can't do this, or you can't do that, or you can't do this. Have you guys noticed that theme? Where I kind of do something to show you that what they're saying isn't true. You notice that? I don't really have to say a whole lot. And so we have a Karen, cousin Eddie, Uncle Eddie, right? Saying, I'm going to make sure this is lawful and legal. Do you not think I've already checked it out, buddy? You get nothing right. I get like 90 to 95% right. Who do you think is right in this? Do you think I have not dotted my I's and crossed my T's on this prior to me ever doing this? Remember, we were going to actually be doing this raffle 3 or 4 weeks ago. So if you don't think I've already dotted my I's and crossed my T's to make sure that what I'm doing is legit and above board, I don't know what to tell you. But go ahead and be a Karen and do your own due diligence. Ghetto ain't racist. White people have ghettos too. And these people. But they are. The place I was talking about is when we were right. It's not a place I would have gotten out of my car. It really isn't. It was slap ghetto around that school. Where the school sat, it was crazy because where you enter the gates to go into the school was on the side of the ghetto. You go around the block because they take up several blocks, but you go on the back side of that school. From that point forward, you got nicer homes, like maybe instead of it being low class, you've got kind of middle class to higher middle class on the other side of that school. It wasn't as run down as the front side of that school, but how we had to get to it was through all of that mess. And I'm looking around and I'm like, these kids had a school here? Then literally, that's the first thing that came to my mind when I was driving through this, because, you know, these are kids that come from a lot of money and wealth. And I can't imagine somebody sending their kids to school in a ghetto. But when I got to the school, it made sense. The school has these huge, 7-foot iron fence, the big, huge security gate, multiple gates that open and close to get into the school. The school is well maintained. The lawn is lush. It's beautiful. It's green. It is a smaller school. Like my high school was much bigger than this school. But the population around here is not as high as what we have in Manatee County. So it would be like one of our middle schools in Manatee County, the size of this school. It was like one of our middle schools. Our high schools are now, 2 and 3 stories high now. They're not growing out, they're growing up, right? So it's nice to see you. Let me go over here and see how many people we've got. I don't want to miss anybody. And I know it's blurry, and I appreciate everything. Okay, so it looks like we're doing at least good so far on everything behind here. So we're just going to monitor this situation. Hold on, it's updating. So we're doing really good on this side of things. So that's good. Welcome, little Jane. I didn't see little Jane. What is it? I don't know. No. It's basically a ran down community. I mean, the ghetto is like ran down. Most of these people are Section 8. So it's people that can't afford to, have rent. They live. It's more of your, like the people there. When I go to the ghettos, like one in Manatee County, there's a lot of older people there that don't that are good Christian people that just don't have the money to survive anywhere else. So they have to live there. But it's also a breeding ground for a lot of crime, a lot of gangs, a lot of, different things. It's just not a good area. And it's usually in the ghetto, you have a lot of crimes related to burglaries, robberies, sexual assault, drugs, gang things that involve gang activities. So there's just a lot. When you go out there, it's not as crime ridden, but closer to the ghettos are these hot spots you get, the more crime you're going to have. And and like I said, in Miami, there's like the pork and beans neighborhood and stuff like that. There's a lot of crime there, but there's also a lot of good Christian people that can't afford to live anywhere else, and they're stuck in the middle of all these wars and gang wars and shootings and things of that. And it's just it's not good. It's not good. I thought original thought and idea was accepted in this chat. I thought BAB invited others to think on their own versus an echo chamber. Is free speech not something BHB advocates for? First of all, Teabach, I've never prevented anybody from talking in here, so I don't know why you're directing this at me. It sounds like you're trying to be insulting, and that's probably where your first problem is. We don't antagonize people. You're allowed to think freely, but you have to do it respectfully. And when I read this right here, this is disrespectful to me. So how do you want me to respond? Our rules in here are no attacks. If I want to attack a creator, this is my house. I'll do as I damn well please. But the rules here are you can't attack other creators. I've got most of all the creators that I don't like flagged, so you can't even say their name inside my chat room because I don't plug them in here. You are more than welcome to have your own. You don't have to agree. We don't like people that parrot each other's opinions. It makes for great debate to have the contrast. However, the rules are you have to be respectful. You can mean what you say and don't say it mean. But see, you're in here with a few other people that I have never seen in my chat before, coming over here and disrupting my chat. That to me is rude. So being rude is what's getting you the response that you're receiving. So if you want to quit being rude and not be kicked out of here, then you need to stop. And if you have a question, ask it respectfully. You don't have to agree with the answer. You don't have to agree with other people's statements, but you don't get the right to be nasty to them because there's no right answers here. There's no wrong answers. And I say that all the time. So I'm going to time you out, or maybe just delete this comment because I don't want to see it. But you want to be treated with respect. You have to give respect. We're not the ones, this is not the chat where you get to come over here and be a complete a-hole and expect everybody to kiss your butt. That's not where we are. You're an a-hole. You're going to be treated as an a-hole by an a-hole. You see where I'm going with this? We treat people how they treat us. You're disrespectful to me, I will be disrespectful to you. You're nice to me, I will be nice to you. How you are treated by Bullhorn Betty is 100% based upon how you treat Bullhorn Betty. And if you don't like what's coming out of my mouth, maybe you should watch what's coming out of yours. That's how we roll over here. That's how we roll. Yeah, I'm gonna time you out. Just because I can. I can't actually, to be honest with you, I couldn't delete that comment. All I could do was time you out or block you. I chose not to block you. So take your 5 minutes in the corner and come back and talk to me when you're feeling better. It is slang term generally considered to offend stereotypes. Ghettos have a story. I don't care. That's your problem. If you're offended by it, why are you here? It's your problem, not Bullhorn Betty's problem. You're trying to turn something like ghetto into a racist slur so you can try to come here and click me, go and mass report me. What are you getting at? If you don't like it, actually, as a matter of fact, I think I'll block because I'm already annoyed by you. There you go. You're done. Betty Crew is timing people out who speaks facts. No, I doubt they're speaking facts, and you can go right along with them with your band of horrible cretins. Go back over to your buffaloes for news. The cost of living in Florida, it's getting very high. It's getting very high. My community was historically very affordable. It has been affordable since I was born. It was a beautiful, quaint little town that was right on the water. When I was growing up, you could pick up a house on the water for $100,000. That same house now that I'm 40 years old goes well over $2 to $3 million out there, and more. They're making houses now out there that are 15, 16, 20 million dollars. I mean, it's insane. Our median house prices, our median house prices in Manatee County have always historically been much lower than Sarasota County. Sarasota County was always the prestige premium place to be when I was growing up. And so people most likely, like if you lived in Palmetto or Manatee County, you most likely worked in Sarasota because they paid the higher wages. And you just go over the county line and go back to your home where the lower house costs and lower gas costs and everything was much lower in Manatee County, but you go over to Sarasota to work because you're getting paid better. So that's always been kind of the thing. Everybody knew that lived in Manatee County. That's kind of how we rolled. And now our median house prices have exceeded Sarasota median house prices. Our cost of living has exceeded Sarasota's cost of living. It is crazy that in 40 years, the change that happened. Now it's more affordable to live in Sarasota. I never in the million years thought the day that I could live in Sarasota would cost me less than living in Manatee County. I am still in shock over that. I'm still in shock. And that's why I'm trying to leave, because I'm tired of my house. My house is, I don't need a big house. It's just me, but I don't, the house doesn't have a lot of storage. So I'm having everything when I purchase something from furniture to everything, I have to keep storage in mind. It drives me nuts. I just need places for my stuff. I'm looking around. I love the stuff, but it's all cluttered in the house. I've got to find places for it. The house, it's not functioning for me. I want a house that functions for me. I like to have a flowing house. Right now I have a washer in one room and a dryer in another room. Again, not conducive. I mean, it's a great rental property. Don't get me wrong. It'll be an amazing rental property. It's just not a Bullhorn Betty property. It's where I had to be for where I needed to be. But the house is paid off. I have lots of equity in that house. So why am I going to live in a house that I just don't really care for? I really don't. And it has a lot of bad memories in it. And so I can't move that house and find another house and without paying through the nose because, my house is worth $255,000. The cheapest house I can find is $375,000. So you're talking about $100,000 I got to come up with out of my pocket, or I have to get a mortgage. I'm not getting a mortgage. I haven't had a mortgage in 15, 16 years. Literally, I have not had a mortgage. I haven't paid a mortgage payment in 15 or 16 years. So I'm not really, I'm at a point where I don't want that. Even my vehicles, I don't go and get ridiculous loans. If I can't afford it, then I don't get it. I live within my means. So but if I've got to stay, I got to stay here, but I was looking at other properties and I realized I could sell my house, buy myself a new car, and have myself a nice home in Georgia for the exact, for less, for 100,000 less than staying in Florida. So obviously that does, I travel, I don't really have a whole lot of ties. My ties used to be Manatee County. The only people I have anything to do with in Manatee County, really, outside of my county and friends, is my mom and my best friend. Those are the only people that really matter. So they would be willing to go to Georgia. It's not that far. Hell, I'm in Georgia right now. It took me 4.5 hours to get here. I'm good. If I wanted to go home, it takes me 4.5. It's a day trip. I can still go see my mama and daddy, So, yeah, be a good little roach and stay in your corner. Thought this was a drama. Well, it's kind of, it is a drama-free zone. But you people like you come in here and disrupt the drama-free zone to make it drama. This is what you guys wanted, right? You wanted me to stop and give you guys attention because you can't take me out. So the only thing you can do is pout like kids and stomp your feet around and make a scene because you guys are failures. So that's not my fault. That's your fault. Your feelings are not my problem. They're your problem. Okay. I'm not an emotional person. That means if you cry about something, doesn't mean I'm going to cry about something. I might actually tell you I'm sick of hearing you cry. And then there was another, did you guys hear that there was a shooter, there was another shooting. Actually, I have it pulled up. Let me find it here. There's another shooting. It was on Twitter. A man decides to got fired. And I'm going to talk about this. Might as well, right? Might as well talk about this. Hopefully it didn't just kill my drop from taking it down. I was on Twitter and I saw it. I think it was on her page. So let me find it. There was a bank decides to kill 6 of his ex-employees. 6 of his ex-employees. And I know it was on News Nation because I did see Brian Enton. Let me go over here and look for Brian Enton and then we'll discuss it. But I read it this morning and it's really ticking me off. And I had a lot to say about it on Twitter. And actually, I did post it on Twitter. Let me go to my account because I did comment on it. I did comment on it. Profile. So that means it'll be like the very last thing I did. Here it is, right here. That man. So Connor Sturgeon, 26, an employee of Old National Bank, where he took 4 lives today and injured 9 others. They were having an employee meeting before the bank opened this morning when he stormed in with an assault rifle and opened fire. Apparently, he live streamed the rampage on Instagram. Here is my response. And this is what I stand by. And so all of these people with emotional issues are probably going to have a problem with it. So you're probably going to have to go cry in the corner alone. Another angry 20-something. We've been discussing on the Bullhorn Betty channel. These kids were never taught how to deal with real life. They were only told they needed a safe space and a coloring book when anything went wrong for them. Well, the real world, you don't get a safe space and coloring book. So the only thing they do is break. And I truly believe that. They taught, and I keep focusing on this 20-something because this is the era of people that were taught everybody's a winner, right? I wasn't taught that when I was a kid. You weren't on a softball league or a cheerleading squad. You didn't get an award if you didn't make 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or nominal or honorable mention, 4th place. You didn't get a trophy. They prepared, in my generation, they prepared you for the ugliness of the real world. They didn't coddle you and paint this euphoric picture of what real life is about and then shove you out the door and then you find out on your own that life is not what they taught you in school. I was always taught in school life is not fair. And every opportunity a teacher got to instill that message in a student, they did. Life's not fair. 20-something now are picking up these guns. Okay? They are, if you look at their voting record, they are not the people that are being stated. They are not the right, crazy, gun-toting lunatics. These are the people that were so concerned that if I didn't wear a mask when I was out in public, I would kill grandmother. But they don't mind grabbing guns now and doing it themselves. So there has been a turn in dynamic. And what is it all about? Is because ugliness is all around us. And our children were never prepared. Our 20-somethings were never prepared. We lost about 2 generations to this everybody's winner's garbage. Well, in the real world, you get stressed out and decide to take a couple days off of work, you get fired. Okay? They've taught our children that if you're stressed out, you need self-care. You bring that to the 9-to-5 job, you don't have a job. You have to be there Monday through Friday, whether you like it or not, whether you're sick, whether you're on your deathbed, because you are replaceable. They don't teach you that nonsense in school anymore. They tell you if you need a break, take it. Well, I hate to tell you, there's not a whole lot of businesses that believe in that dynamic of employment. And I moved my thing and it failed. I was almost done with my videos and it failed. That drives me nuts. At the very last thing, because I'm best with my phone to read you that. So we're probably, actually I could probably just show you instead of downloading. I'll download after this is done because we still have to, all right, here's one of them.
Hey guys, so we are at the Village Creek Landings. This is Lucy Gowan, which is one of the girls at that party at the Struthers home that was present when Trent was force-fed booze, taped to a chair, spray painted, urinated on, and then dropped off at the hospital when he no longer could breathe. This is one of the parents' businesses. This is the Village Creek Landings, and as you see, they've got a place for boats to come in. This is huge. This place is a huge preserve that goes on for as far as the eye can see. And this is a beautiful event, but you'll see right over here, it says happy hour. This is the sign out front, right there. And it says happy hour, no public events this week. 413, Doink, 416 Market, 420 Red, 18 open to the public. But this week, they are not open. Could it be because things are heating up in the Trent Lehrkamp case? It's possible. We're uncovering all the businesses, all of the parents associated with these children to find out why law enforcement is failing to put the silver cuffs on these people involved in Trent's case. This is a huge problem for me because the majority of these families have more money than they know what to do with. And it makes me wonder, is that a contributing factor to why these children and their parents are not being held accountable for their crimes? The Struthers are my biggest concern because that appears to be the party house. The kids will go to wherever the parents allow them to do whatever because that's the age that they are at. These parents are responsible for the actions of their children. These children are responsible for their own actions. Parents are financially responsible. The children should be prosecuted criminally. What is going on here in Glenn County? I'd like to know. Reporting from another amazing piece of property one of these kids' parents own. Where's the justice for Trent? Trent deserves justice, and we are going to pressure the hell out of this community until justice is sought for Trent. God bless each and every one of you. Until next time, please be safe and kind to one another.
So that's just one of them. That's just one of them. We've got, like I said, we've got the hardware store that's been around since this community was built, just about since the 1930s. We've got a realtor, a well-to-do realtor. We've got parents that work at the local news in Brunswick. Yep. Maybe that's what's throttling some of the news going off on this case. Yeah. News. One of these kids' parents work for the newspaper or the news organization, Brunswick News. I don't know if it's a online news source. I don't know if it's a news like, Brett Buffington, aired, I have no idea. But I find it funny that there's been a lot of throttling of the news cycle related to this case. And lo and behold, we have parents that work at the newspaper. So we have all these elitist parents, and one that owns this Adventure Outfitters on the main drag in St. Simon's Island. But there's also several other locations of this Southeast Adventure Outfitter. And I don't know if they're franchised or if the parents own all of them. I haven't looked into that. I haven't looked into that. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining the coffee club. Please try and don't forget to thumbs up. We appreciate that. We aren't allowed to talk about Rona in chat. YouTube doesn't like it. Yes, nobody delete any messages that have anything to do with that. We do control the narrative in our chat. And if you think it's for my mods, if you think it's offensive or it doesn't bode with our rules of chat, remove it. If you don't know whether it's something that violates the rules in this chat, then just remove the comment. Don't strike the person. But if you know that the intent is to be malicious or mean, they are to be removed. First offense, second offense, timed out, third offense, total block. That's how we roll. Old rusty kettle in the house. I always thought work was my safe space and never brought anything in the door. Well, I'm not sure how old you are, but from my generation, we, we were taught that work is work and life's not fair. We were told that if you didn't show up to work, you get fired. We were told if you didn't have a positive attitude or were rude to customers, back when we actually had customer service, which everything related to customers, they think a company now, and I don't want to get on a tangent about this, but we were taught that you don't show up for work, you don't get paid. You don't get, you don't get personal time. I mean, that's a benefit that you have to negotiate in my days is personal time. That's what I negotiated for my self-care, so to speak, which I never really took. But this day and age, our children are taught about this self-care crap that is ruining them as adults. Do I think that they need to take care of themselves? Of course I do. That's not what I'm saying. But when you're teaching kids, if they get stressed out, they need to take a day off work, they're going to be fired. You do a poor job at work or just can't get their stuff together, they're going to be fired. Teach them about the realities of life, not this made up, euphoric sub-reality. It's not like that. And these kids can't handle it. And they can't handle rejection because they've been taught their whole life that everybody's a winner. They have screwed up these children. All over what? Political leaning. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it came down to. They're using our kids. I'm not getting into it. That's not what this channel's for. We were going to do, and probably next month, maybe I will, because I am starting to get a little more impassioned about some of the stuff going on. Maybe we'll do, politics with Betty. Might as well. So we can keep it off this side, and I can still have a way to vent my frustration. Maybe. I have a funny feeling it'll be more successful than this one, even though this will be our primary one, right? Because it doesn't really matter what's successful or not. Matters about what my passion is, and my passion is to help. And whether I ask permission or people's opinion as to whether they think I help or not. It doesn't matter what their opinion of help is. It only matters about what my opinion of help is, because I'm the one doing it. Justice for Trent. Thank you, Sepsis. That's it. Justice for Trent, a 19-year-old from Georgia who was tortured and left dead at a local hospital. We went by the local hospital as well. I'm surprised that he's no longer in that hospital. Just, that's probably why there's not a lot of media out there, but I don't think there was a whole lot of media out there to begin with. This case has not gotten a lot of media attention in this area because of the players involved. I'm not sure why Leilani Simon was able to get away with sleeping in her home for over 30 days after killing her son. I don't understand how she got away with that. But again, it comes down to, I believe it was her mother's father that was well known, or the generational in that area, and actually had, if I'm not mistaken, had a nonprofit and had provided finance, money to campaigns. And I do believe that there was that element there from her family, not that immediate family, but the family above. And that's kind of the problem I'm having is here in Georgia, all you have to do is be part of this side of politics, and you get treated a lot different. Is Miss Ann in? Good morning, Miss Ann. I didn't see you pop in. If you're in, good morning. I missed you, love. I'm in Georgia, just not that far. About 2 hours away from you. I'm just right over the Florida-Georgia line. If my kids were to get in trouble, it would be covered up, because that's how small towns work. Wrong, right or wrong, I'm from the city, and this is completely ridiculous to me. Me and you both. I'm not from a city. I'm from a small town. And back in our day, we had, we had the good old boy stuff, and we still do in certain respects, because, we still do. I'm not going to take it away, even though it's not as obvious as it once was. It still happens even in my community, and I know it. I know it. And so I'm going to read this because this person is totally involved in trying to stalk me and harass me. Yes, and see, so this is a person right here that we just discussed on here. They just sent this to me, I think a few minutes ago, like 1 minute ago. So blank screen can't talk on here because we kicked blank screen out. It says, keep messing with me and see how fast I'll snatch your channel away from you. Molly learned that the hard way. No, first of all, the title that you just put up here, I've already appealed. They've already undid everything. They told me, they just sent me a letter probably about 15 minutes ago, maybe longer than that, about an hour ago, before I started this live, telling me that obviously it wasn't near as bad as what was originally told to them, and therefore they have removed the community strike and gave me the option to repost that very video. So since you are watching me blank screen, no, you didn't do it. Even though it has been removed, it is now officially appealed. So it's going to stay removed until I upload it again, which if you keep messing around with me, I will upload it again, just so you can see they're not going to take it down again. Whatever the case may be, doesn't matter to me. And you can keep screwing around with me all you want, but I have told you multiple times, do not contact me again. So guess what I'm going to be doing as soon as I get done with this live? I'm going to the police department and filing a criminal complaint against you. And I'll file a criminal complaint in every state that you reach out to me in. I don't deserve to be harassed online or offline. What you are doing is harassment. It's against the law. You don't care about the law because you are yourself a criminal, and you know it. So once again, I'm going to block this, tag this as harassment, and we'll leave it, because once I uncover who you are, all of this stuff will be used against you. You better pray to God you're not in the United States of America. If you're out of country, I will fly to you if need be. And I'm pretty sure I'd get the support of this channel just to take your ass to court, whatever country you're in. The kind of stuff I have to deal with. But all they did is just wanted some attention. Well, another troll Well, you're getting the internet laws changed. No, I'm not. The laws change. They're going to change in my favor because you guys are so twisted. Everything you think I'm doing, your people are doing. It's not us doing it. And I can go anywhere I want. And never mind the fact that I am media, whether you acknowledge this badge or not, it is proper under the law. So you guys can keep jerking around and playing these games. I don't care. It's not going to affect me because I don't break the law, dumbass. I don't break it. Guys, anybody that has anything, just anything like that in here, just block them. I don't even want to read them. Just block them out of the chat in its entirety. We'll go through this where they're going to create several different accounts. We're just going to keep blocking them until we have a good block list to stop some of these people from coming in. And as a matter of fact, for those that would like to join, you may want to join today, or like subscribe today, because moving forward, as we go through this them trying to point the finger at us while they're doing all the stuff, we're going to let them burn their own houses down. We're going to stay true to the cause in covering these cases. I don't ask anybody for permission. And obviously I have plenty of support because in the last year, I've acquired almost 25,000 people. And also we have had over 4 million watch hours, which far surpass any of these hate channels by millions and millions of views. So these people are delusional to think that they are right and we're somehow wrong. We follow the rules here. We pride ourselves of following the rules here, and we will continue to show them that everything that they're saying that we can't do, we can do in the proper way. And we're going to continue down that road if they want to keep pushing back, because right now they've had 2 videos removed that have been appealed and reversed. And now I have permission to upload those videos. I got the letters from YouTube and everything that say they are not going to put it back on live, but I'm more than welcome to upload it. They've probably gotten those same letters themselves from content that have been removed from their channels. So they know exactly what I'm saying is absolutely true. A lot of journalists do segments that are meant to spark a debate. Here we go. C12 says, Lob says, a lot of journalists do segments that are meant to spark debate. The media, in my opinion, in Canada is just an extension of the corrupt government. Therefore, they have no journalistic standards. And that's what's bred a lot of the YouTube community and the news to come from YouTube, is because people have stopped in the United States from trusting our news organizations because they are corrupt. If somebody of power calls them and says, we don't want you to do this, or even threatens them with a lawyer or something like that, they back off and will not pursue it. We don't have that problem. We don't have somebody telling us what we can and cannot pursue. What does that mean? That means we can be personally sued. It sure does. And I know that going in because I have a legal background. That's why I do the things that I do the way I do them. The people don't understand. There's a reason why things are done the way they're doing and why I have not been sued. People have been sued. I have not been sued. There's a reason for that. And if I ever do get sued, I'm sure I will be just fine. Georgia loves Biden. Georgia gave Dems 2 Senate seats and voted for Biden in 2020. Georgia is a mess. And you know what? It shows. I mean, look at this. This is the second major case we've covered here in the state of Georgia in 2 separate counties. And their MO is, hey, we'll let the assailants sleep in their own bed while the families, the victims die or have to struggle in rehabilitation and have to deal with all of this that somebody else committed upon them while they get to sleep at night with no problems from law enforcement. And the kicker is all you have to do is be politically motivated in this community or have money. That's all that's required. And you can sleep in your own bed and commit horrible things to other people and go unaccountable. They'll end up throwing these people in jail. I mean, don't get me wrong. They will, but I won't be surprised if they're low charges, misdemeanor charges in nature, not anything that really is going to provide this man justice because of who they are. That's what I perceive to happen. I perceive that these kids are going to get a slap on the wrist. The parents are not even going to be in charge, and they're going to put the onus on the victim to civilly sue the parents of these kids. That's what's going to end up happening. Mark my words. Mark my words. This is a joke. This is a joke. If anybody is thinking about moving to Georgia, don't. You're not safe here. You're not safe here. You're just not. And if God forbid something does happen to you, you won't get justice for months. They could have literally a stockpile of evidence sitting in front of them, and they still won't make an arrest. They'll let the person that hurt you sleep in their own bed for months before they decide, oh, well, maybe we'll go ahead and charge them now. This is a bad place to be. And if you're in Georgia, maybe it's time for you to start looking elsewhere. Come to Florida. We got enough people there. Might as well add a few more, right? If you want a state, like I trust Florida. I trust Florida. Does that mean I trust everybody in Florida? Of course not. But I do trust the majority of Florida. And I'm telling you, we are a law and order state. So for if you guys are tired of watching people get brutalized and nobody's held accountable, come to Florida. You'll be much happier. And we have a lot of water. We have a lot of water, fresh water, salt water, canals, everything. If you like water, you can have it. We have beautiful acreage here in Florida. Come on to Florida. Get out of this mess of Georgia until they change their laws where victims are who they fight for and not the freaking criminals. Northeast Alabama. There we go. Oh, mama, there you go. We even have another option right there, Alabama. But you might have those crocodiles. And Miss Ann needs our prayers today. She, as many of you guys know, she's been struggling. I haven't even seen her on here in a little minute. So if you guys can throw some prayer hands up for Miss Ann, I'd really appreciate it. Many of you guys know I really am smitten by Miss Ann. She came out and hung out with us during Quentin Simon's case. She made Bullhorn Betty and some other lucky people some cream cakes, lemon and almond. Oh, and those were freaking good. Those were freaking good. And it's nice. Yes, give her some prayers. She could really use all the love and support. You are loved here, honey. You are loved here, and we miss you. We miss you. And I might be back on Friday for the trial at the courthouse. I might be back there because I'm going to be going to Marion County, which is not too far from Savannah. So I can just go to Marion, do that for a day and go there, because this is going to be the big one, whether they're going to, drop those counts that Leilani's defense attorneys wanting them to drop. So I don't know if they're going to drop them or not. Yeah, when I went to switch over to the full panel, it wouldn't. It froze the whole computer. So I switched over finally to the hotspot. I don't know if it's going to be better, but I'm thinking it's got to be better than what we were dealing with. So let me try that again. So I wanted to get over here and show you guys this page. Hold on just a second. I get this banner off. It went there. There it is. So this was what came out in, this is not the original one I looked at. The one I looked at actually came from Twitter. And then while we were doing research, this one came up. And so edited to names of the ones involved. Rooker Hobby, we know about the mom. Father is Gary Hobby with Subaru. So we have all these people that have been brought up, but there's a lot of people on here that weren't here at this incident that makes me believe that they may have been at one of the other 3 incidents. And one of them is Carson and Leland. Those are 2 people that we did not come across as people at this home during this particular situation. That doesn't mean they weren't at another situation, but for whatever reason, we did get the Glenn County Police Department to tell us that nobody that was involved in this incident works for his police department. But here's the problem. Here's the kicker on this is the fact that maybe not this incident, but these two other people were brought up as a reason, for a reason. That means they were there at maybe one of the other three. They're looking at only one of these cases, this one that almost lost his life. There are 3 different assault cases on this man. This man had a laceration on his eye just a week or so before this where he almost died, that his dad had to take him to the hospital and get him stitched up. He had another one where he came with him covered in WD-40 and all this crap stuck all over him. And that was just weeks before that other incident. And then now fast forward, he's in the ICU on life support trying to save his life. So there's 3 separate cases here, not just one. But it seems to me law enforcement is really only focusing on one of the 3 incidences. And so it makes me wonder if these other 2 kids were there somewhere else. So know who your kids are hanging out with. Be in their business. That is what this one person is stating. And this has a lot of stuff in here. We've blocked out the, she blocked out the video, the face and everything like that on here. But this is really disturbing, very disturbing that this boy is in this condition and law enforcement is still dragging their feet on making an arrest. And this family is struggling and watched their loved one almost die. They're wanting to, this family is wanting to trust the process. And I hear that all the time. Trust the process, right? Trust the process. Well, you only trust the process when the process is doing you some good. And to me, they need to at some point open their eyes and realize law enforcement has everything they need to have. They already have affidavit. At this point, at this juncture, they already have affidavit. They already have had some subpoenas returned back to them related to phone activity and some of the people that they know were there, checking their texts, checking their videos, checking what they've recorded on their videos. They're getting all that evidence in. So they already know who was at that home. They already have spoken to many of the people at that home, if not all at this point. So now, according to the post, let me find the post. Let me find out where I put it first. Actually, I can take this down. We don't need that incident report up. It's just clogging up my screens. Is it this one? Let me see. I'll just go over here. Okay. We'll go through Brett Buffington's Twitter post real quick here. Let me pull it up. So here is Brett stating that police in Glenn County have met with prosecutors as recently as last Thursday to talk about charges in the Trent Lehrkamp case. Police continue to investigate, but law enforcement sources tell me to not expect an arrest this week. So still no arrests expected. And I keep scratching my head and keep thinking, when do police officers now go to the prosecutors? Now, granted, in major cases, when there are like murder investigation that has a lot of stuff and they're going down an avenue related to the assailants and what evidence, yeah, they bring in the prosecuting's office. You know, typically the state attorney may even actually be out at the scene just to preview the original scene. So it does help them when they're building a case against someone. So you'll see something like that happen. And you'll see that law enforcement may have some questions related to their investigation or what will need to bridge what they have to that conviction. You typically don't see that in cases like this. You typically see that in more of murder cases, more complicated crime scene type cases where there's a massive amount of information, massive amount of evidence that they have to go through, and what would be, they'll work with the state attorney. It's hard for me to see it happening in a case like this. So I have to think that, there is something definitely going on here. And it's hard not to look at the families. Why are they so hesitant at wanting to charge these children? And when you look at their families and look at the amount of money and look at who the family members are of these kids, it kind of paints this very clear picture of them having privilege. So why are they being treated differently than you would treat any other citizen in your community if this had happened to anybody else? And, like I said, I've watched several interviews and I've read a lot of stuff, and the people in this community, this is not what I am saying in this community. This is what their citizens are saying in this community. And they keep professing that if these were Black kids, they would be in jail right now. And I normally would say I don't believe that in 2023. But again, this is not my first time in Georgia. And I've watched it with my own eyes. So I'm very, I'm very concerned about this case. I think that there's enough community pressure in this case to result in an arrest multiple. But if those parents were home, if Lauren or Carlton were home at the time this altercation happened, I'm not going to be happy until they're in jail. Because they are the adults and they let their children run amok. They have the party house. The Strother house is the party house for these kids. You didn't see them over at Ed Hobby's mom's house, right? Why? Because his mom won't deal with that. Why wasn't it at the girls that were there? Why wasn't this going on in their house? Because their parents wouldn't allow it. There is a reason why it happened here at the Strother home. Either the parents aren't home and let their kids run wild, or the parents don't give a shit. Because I'm telling you, if my stepkids or grandkids had cops at my house 11 times in 8 months, no, you're not allowed to have friends over here no more. You just ruined your opportunity to ever have a friend over here. Maybe when you change your behavior, we'll readdress this in 90 days. But as far as I'm concerned, you just had cops at our house 11 times in 8 months. You're going to be 3 months grounded. 3 months groundation. You're going to go to school. You're to come home. You're to do some work in the yard. You're going to do your chores. If you're out of line one time, we'll extend it even further. Next, we'll take your car. Next, we'll take your phone. Next, we'll remove the TV out of your bedroom. That's how I was raised. We don't bow down to our kids. We're the parents of our children. We're the parents of our children. We're not their friends. We're not their friends. When they get grown, we can be all their friends all the time we want. But while they're underage and under our care, we're not their friends. We're their parents. That means we're nosy. We look at their journals. We look in their drawers to make sure they're not doing drugs. We check their cars. We clean their cars to make sure there's nothing going on funny in their cars. We keep trackers on our kids. We do what we're supposed to do as parents. And if our kids don't like it and they want to pout about it and throw a temper tantrum, let them pout about it and throw a temper tantrum. But I would like to know that my child's not going to be some crackhead prostitute in another 10 years, personally. Or some alcoholic, in bars and in bar fights and in jail the rest of his life. That's what I would like to know. And if that means my child hates me until they're 18, then my child's going to have to hate me until they're 18. That's what it's about. So I don't know what's going on, but I really do not like this case. This is not one of the most, I mean, the kid's alive. So we're very thankful for that. This is not one that we have, you know, a person murdered and injustice happening like we did with Quentin Simon. Okay. I give you that. This is, in the eyes of the law, this is probably does not rise to that level, you know, of severity, because he is living. So, you know, that's one good step in the right direction. Thank God these kids aren't facing a murder charge or a you know, manslaughter charge. I mean, this could be so much worse. Again, where are the parents? This is failing. This is failing as a parent when you let your kids run amok. I think every single one of these children should be under groundation, because they just put their families in a lot of financial hot water. Believe that. There's going to be a lot of repercussions from this, even if there is no arrest. There should be. I would be outraged if there was no arrest in this case. But even if there were no arrest in this case, there's a huge civil suit. And they definitely have enough to go forward with a massive civil suit against multiple parents. And like I said, these parents have money. So they're screwed. They're not going to be able to go to court and say, you know, I can't afford this and I can't afford that. Well, you got property. You just like Alec Murdaugh, you might have to sell something. You might have to sell something to bail your child out. Maybe now, when you start having the financial cost for failing to parent your children, maybe you'll start parenting your children. Just saying. Mama Llama says, I'm the same way. My daughter has a phone, but she can only play games on it. I told her she can get service when she starts working and pay for it. Good for you. Good for you. You know, kids actually, even with cars, like when my father bought me cars, I kind of did my own thing. If it was there, it was there. If it wasn't, if I wrecked it, I know he'd buy me another one, right? So when you give your kids too much, they never appreciate it. When I have something for myself, I appreciate it. When I work for something and work hard, oh my goodness, Crime Stories obsessed. Looky, my beautiful friend across the pond. It's nice to see you. I'm just shaking up the streets of YouTube, making people talk and squawk, you know, just rolling through it, enjoying how I can just say one thing and trigger a whole bunch of people. It's great. It's great. It's great. But you know, even with money, like we came from money, but it wasn't just freely given to me. I still, even though I did get the cars, you know, that was more of a convenience for my parents, right? Let's be honest. Them having to drive me to school and pick me up was not on the highest to do or their priorities, you know, during that time. So the car made sense. Okay. Let's just be honest, but it was nothing was ever freely given. I had to go out. Like when I got suspended from school, those 3 days I was suspended from school, my father made me get out in the yard. I could not come in. I had to work out in the yard for 8 hours a day. I had to pull weeds, and we had these like ferns that bordered our entire property. I don't know what person put those in there. We didn't put them in there. They were there when we got to the property. They were these ferns, but these ferns had stickers on them, like thorns. Thorns. You could not weed these bushes without gloves. Even when you had gloves, they never quite came up high enough on your arm, so your arms would literally be torn up. I had to pull weeds from that when I got suspended. I had to pull weeds. And I told you about the time I sold cigarettes. You know, my parents made me go empty out my bank account. Not only took me up to the place where I stole them from, made me give the guy the cigarettes. I also had to give the guy the $22 in my piggy bank, which was everything I saved for that entire summer. Not much. Back in them days, you got $1 here, $1 there. So $22 is a big deal for me, right? Big deal, big deal. But that's parenting. To me, that's parenting. That's holding me accountable. From that made such an impression on me at that age that I never stole anything from a store again. Well, I probably shouldn't say that. I think that might be a lie. I think when I was at the flea market with my sister, I think I stole a necklace. I do believe that. I think I did steal a necklace after that event, because I think I was much older than that. So maybe I did steal. But again, many of you hear me say I don't like a liar or a thief, because you know what? It's not good. It's not good. And I realized what I did at that young age. I didn't have money for it, but I wanted it. And, that caused me more grief than just paying for it. So I don't do that, and a lot of kids do a lot of stupid stuff. And you pray to God your kids don't do something that's going to sink your boat. But you can't just let your kids just do whatever the hell they want to, especially from 15 on up to 18. When they turn 18 and you're no longer paying for them, they get their apartment and move out. They're no longer your problem. They're still under your roof. They're still your problem. They're still your problem. And that doesn't mean they can just walk all over everything. And I don't know what's going on. This kid, the Strother kid, Jackson, he looks, pretty innocent. I mean, but look, if looks could kill, right? He looks pretty innocent. He looks to me, he looks like a normal teenage kid, that's just kind of, has that attitude and stuff, but nothing horrible. And to be in this and to allow his friends to, kind of change him. And I see how that happens. It's kind of peer pressure, everybody doing it this way, even though you don't like it, you're still participating in it. I mean, it's lessons learned, but somebody almost died, and we can't take that away. And so the parents got to figure this out. But, law enforcement dragging their ass on this is only making them look like more of an embarrassment, because we as true crime people and people that cover this stuff literally every single day of our life, we know the process. We know when they're throttling their case. They're throttling their case. They're dragging their ass. That is exactly what they're doing. The arrest will be made, but they're trying to find out whether they can give them lower charges so they can bamboozle the people here and say, well, we arrested them. We just couldn't get enough evidence to charge them with this. I bet you probably had the evidence to charge them with that. You're just choosing not to because somebody's got to be reelected in the future. And when you have a big name like Strother and the money that they provide the community, it makes you kind of say, oh, well, we're about to get our biggest fish. This is our backbone of St. Simon's Island. We can't do this to them. No, yeah, you can. They sure did it to some other little boy. That little boy's family's having to watch their family members struggling. That's not fair. That's not fair. You got people here that have money and they can do whatever the hell they want. And the people that don't have a lot of money, they're screwed. I don't like that. That's not fairness in the law to me. That's not what our law is for. There is no two-tier system in this country. We don't have a system for the elite and wealthy and the system for everybody else. It doesn't work that way. Under the eyes of the law, we are all equal and should be equally charged. If you would have charged the family and the parents of a kid in a different case that have the same exact hallmarks as this one, then these should be charged too. The victim is the criminal and gets no justice, and the criminal is somehow the victim. That is horrible policing. Horrible policing. Let me see what my time is. So we're about 8:26. I'm going to try to set up Letitia Stout. Oh, my lips are so dry. I didn't put Bliss on them and they're just peeling. We're going to try to put up Letitia Stout, but I just think today's probably going to be one of those days. You should need the link here. You want to come up, Crime Stories? I can probably, hopefully it won't do anything. I've been having horrible internet here at this hotel. So I've got it running on my hotspot, but you're more than welcome to come up. I'd love to see your smiling face. I may have to turn my camera off to give it enough bandwidth. But definitely would love to see you. Is Just Samantha in here? Good morning, Just Samantha. It's nice to see you, love bug. Hold on, Miss Ann. I'm waiting for a Crime Stories. Let me pop you up here. Hey, hon. Can you hear me?
Hey.
Hey, honey. How you doing?
Hanging in there. I'm just sore as hell from that procedure yesterday,
Yeah.
where they went in and cut all the polyps out and found the cancer. And, next Monday I go to the doctor to get set up for the chemo and the radiation and the surgery. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm scared and I'm
Yeah.
worried, but it is what it is. Thank goodness
I'm gonna have to put you in the back studio because the link was for Crime Stories and she just popped in. So let me pop her up and I'll bring you back up in just a few moments.
All right, honey.
All right. Well,
Hi.
hello there in the flesh.
Hello. It's nice to see you. We've been saying we're going to go live for like ever, and then we never.
I know, and I never do because I've been so busy. I'm going to turn mine off so we can get some bandwidth here because we can only hear your voice.
So how are you? How is everybody?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Just covering this case here in Georgia, and it's just, I hear the concerns of the residents here. They've been out in the streets and protesting and talking about, they had to deal with this once before when another kid was actually killed, and this area did not want to prosecute those people, and they had to force law enforcement to prosecute them. And finally, when they did, they were not only convicted of the crimes, they were also convicted of it being a hate crime as well. So there's a lot of contention with some of the residents here and the law enforcement. And now we're seeing it again with this Trent Lehrkamp case where, they're dragging their feet on charges. And it's week after week. There's not expected an arrest this week. There's not expected arrest this week. But now we're working with the prosecuting attorney. And it's like when you start looking at these families, you realize that they're well-to-do families in this community that have been here for generations.
Yeah, you're really good on the justice system, and I suppose, did you work in the justice system previously?
No, actually, I actually graduated as a paralegal and went into law, worked under attorneys. And that's where I learned a lot of the stuff that I know now is from the work I did in lawyers. And one of the attorneys that I worked for after I left his office, he ended up becoming a federal judge.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, it does help with the channel. It certainly helps when you understand the law and your own rights as well. My problems are with it is that I'm in England. So, of course, our justice system is, it differs in a lot of ways. So I've had to learn as I've gone along by picking up certain things, with the cases. But that certainly helps you, doesn't it, when you've got that background?
Yeah. And we were in I know that, the hate on here, they try to minimize the stuff, but at the end of the day, when I went to college, I was very attuned. I was I graduated in the top 2%, not even the top 10% of my class. I was there quite a bit. I did a lot of stuff with that, and I also turned that into avocation for our kids in my community.
Well, that's good.
Yep.
Just to stop it.
Went from troublemaker to trouble eliminator. It's kind of funny because my sheriff laughs at me all the time because, I did used to be in my 20s, in my teens and 20s, I was a problem. I had all these problems going on, and to see me flip, into this person, he's like, I'm glad to see you here. He always gives me a hug.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. It's nice. And, you should be proud of yourself, really, for what you've achieved. You've created a channel. You've got a lot of subscribers. You've got a lot of people. I've just been in the chat, and there's a lot of people that love listening to you. And you've built up this channel. You've got a lot of background in this. You understand what you're talking about. And I think some of the hate comes from possibly jealousy from just, they don't have that. They don't have that content, and
Right.
They could never have that content.
It's just they don't understand. And it's like, I hear them talking all the time, about the law and stuff, and they misrepresent what they're reading, and it's not that they're intentionally doing it. They just don't understand it. And I can tell they don't understand it and it gets a little frustrating. So, when I correct it, maybe they feel insulted. I don't know, but
No, I think people don't like being wrong.
Yeah.
And yeah, they don't like being wrong, and people can be nasty. I've noticed it's a very toxic place is YouTube, and that's why I tend to generally keep myself to myself. I keep myself to myself. I just upload my videos, and I try and stay out of it as much as
Yeah.
possible, because it is a
And
very
it's so
toxic
hard even when you
environment.
don't want it. It just, like, even here, like 20 minutes of my morning was dealing with trolls and gaslighters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, last week, I don't know if you know, but there was a guy called Michael Stando, and he said he was a Washington state attorney, and he was in my comments quite a lot, and I was thinking, Washington state attorney, this is great. Obviously, I don't know much about the American justice system compared to certainly an attorney. And when we were covering the Idaho case, I thought, wow, this is my opportunity. I never go live, to have a really good live with a lot of good information from an attorney in Washington about possibly what's up and coming with the Koberger case in June. So we arranged to have this guy on, and he never appeared. I ended up talking to myself for like an hour and 17 minutes. And as soon as I came off the live, like, his YouTube channel had gone and everything. And we've done a bit of background digging, and apparently this guy, he is actually an attorney over there, but it wasn't him that was messaging me. I've been in touch with him. So whoever that was just trying to cause drama and probably have a laugh out of it, I don't know. But it's like, why would you go to that extent of creating email addresses and commenting and saying you're going to do this and you're going to do that, and then not doing it? Like,
we were trolled like that in Georgia when those other people were getting arrested. The night crew, several of them got arrested. Well, an attorney reached out to me, and so I was like talking to them, and they were talking about ex parte communications with a judge, and I'm like, that's illegal as hell in the state of Georgia. You can't have ex parte communications with a judge and settle the case. You have to have the defense, the prosecution, and the judge there for it to be. So when he started saying this in this text, I said, "What's your bar number? I'm hearing that you're not a legit." And he got upset, and so he gave me this bar number, and so I actually looked it up, and the bar number went to no one. And I'm like, don't reach out to me again, whatever. We had already told these people that, this attorney was going to go ahead and enter into their case and go ahead and get it settled as quickly as possible. So they were all happy about this and that. And it was a troll. It was a troll. So I had to call them and say, we were trolled, and you've got to go to court.
Mm-hmm.
But this person could have literally got all these people rearrested for failing to appear, because it's very dangerous and it's highly illegal if you state, because an attorney is an officer of the court. It is illegal to impersonate officers of the court in the United States of America.
Yeah, that's what I was told, because he was saying to me that his best friend was Mystery Maven, and she's got a channel. Well, I thought I'd heard of her, but I've never watched her. So I went across and checked her out. And then my team got in touch with her and said, look, this guy that we think is pretending to be an attorney says that he's friends with you. And she was like, never heard of him. And it was her, with her living over there as you are, she was able to then call him and talk to him and say, look, this guy's impersonating you. But it is actually an offense to do that. To pretend to be an officer or somebody of the law. Like, you just can't do that. And so whoever it was is going to be in a lot of trouble. And I'm pleased about that, because
we turned all those texts in and let them get the all the information off my phone, because that in Georgia is not good. You can't do that.
No, it's wrong.
Yeah,
it's wrong. But so what cases are you covering at the minute then on the channel?
So I'm covering the Trent case, which I'm only going to be here for, today. I'm going to probably leave tomorrow and start heading to Marion County, where the 3 kids were gunned down by the gang members. One of the assailants was only 12 years old. So I'm going to go there, and 12 years old was one of the gunmen. And
I don't think I've heard of that one.
Yes, it's in Marion County, Florida. It was It's very shocking. But the sheriff doesn't, our sheriffs here in Florida, they don't play. And so the sheriff had those guys jailed like in 24 hours. Like they had them identified and jailed literally in 24 hours.
That's
It's
good.
still on the ground, but they know who they are.
I mean, they're creating content for us, but seriously, what is going on with all these kids, that are turning into so much crime and murdering people? Like, what kind of homes have they grown up in to become that sort of person? And I love the psychology behind it and why people do things, and try and touch on that, because it's
so with these kids, I know I've seen an uptick in the hostility from the 20-somethings. That's something we've been talking about on this channel for some time, because the last few mass killings have been from 20-somethings that were on, everybody's talking about this right and left, political environment, and it seems like it's an uptick of these people that have a different political leaning than I do, that are now gunning these people down. And it's like, why? And I've always talked about how our schools were teaching these children that if they get frustrated or they get hurt, they need to find a safe space. And even freaking our high school, they had safe spaces and coloring books for high school kids. And I was just, my mind is blown at that kind of crap. And I'm thinking, they're not preparing these kids for this ugly world. They're not preparing them at all for this. And when they get out here, I think it's a shock to their body. They can't deal with rejection. They never had to deal with rejection because they've always been told that everybody's a winner. And then they're thrown out into the real world where there are winners and losers. Not everybody's a winner out here in this real world.
You're right. Yeah. You're right. I think that's one aspect of it. Yeah, that's a big aspect of it.
Yeah. So I just think they've never been prepared for the real world.
No. It's crazy. And what do you think about Koberger? What do you think his motive was for the crimes in Idaho?
I think we're getting skewed information from a lot of these big news outlets, from the IDs being connected. Nobody would really know if those IDs were connected. Let's be honest. They can say whatever they want because everybody's under a gag order and nobody can confirm or deny the information being true. So I think So I think a lot of the Koberger stuff that we're listening to now, we have to take with a grain of salt. I think the reality is that there was a sheet that did have a speck of his DNA on it. No matter what laboratory found it, there was a speck of his DNA because they were able to match a DNA to his dad. So there is that. So I do believe that. I do believe he was following them and stalking them. So I think there's going to be a lot that comes out in his phone records and the forensic digital stuff. But I think they got the right guy. I think they did. I mean, all this, I do get, like you get a lot of comments, and when I make a video, and there's a lot of people that still think he was set up and it wasn't him. I'm sure that probably has happened, and it does go on in certain places, just because they need a conviction. They want the conviction rates up, but I can't see it. What we've, like you say, with what has come out so far, it certainly looks like they've got the right guy to me. I certainly think it's Koberger, but everybody's opinion matters, and if people don't agree, then that's fine. We just all have a different opinion. But I think it was Maddie. I think it was Maddie that was targeted, and I think he possibly went for Kaylee because they were so close, and maybe she was saying, leave him alone, don't reply to him or whatever. And I think, and I think he went for her because he felt like she was the reason that Maddie wouldn't give him the time of day. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I actually thought it was one of the two girls. At first, I thought it was definitely Kaylee, but then when I realized that she was not even supposed to be in that home, that she'd moved fully out of that home, she was living back at her parents' house, and she was only there to visit. That really changed.
And how would he know that?
Yeah. And that really changed it for me. That's when I realized that it most likely was Maddie, because Maddie was still there and he was following somebody when she went back.
Zana was in a relationship. Kaylee had moved out. and he obviously didn't go anywhere near the other two. So I think it was Maddie. And if you see the photos, because I've got so many bloody photos of these kids, but if you, which sounds so bad, doesn't it? But if you look at the photos of Maddie, she is like a model in some of these photos.
Oh yeah.
And men will look at that and think, wow, she's a very, very pretty girl. She's slim. She's got the long blonde hair. You know, I think it was Maddie. I think it will come out that it was Maddie. I don't know why Kaylee got so much of the brunt of it, but I think it was possibly because she just didn't
fighter. That's why she got the brunt of it. I think she wasn't playing. She was fighting for her life. She was fighting to save her best friend.
Yeah.
She was. I think she was just the tougher one of the two of them. You know, because she was a little bit thicker. You know, she was beautiful, and she was very beautiful. But if you look at her and Maddie was much smaller. I mean, you could just like blow on Maddie and she'd fall over. You know?
Yeah, she was like a model, and I don't know. I mean, they're all pretty in their own way, but I honestly think it was Maddie.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't know about you, and there are so many cases, and things we hear that have happened to these kids. But that case has really, really upset me. Like, it sent me into a bit of a spiral at one point. I think it was the fact that they were in their home. It's their safe place. It's your sanctuary, your home. To have somebody just come in the middle of the night in the dark, that freaked me out, because I live on my own most of the time when Penny's backwards and forwards, and just the thought of it really did affect me. I mean, to the point where I'm rechecking my doors. I'm, you know,
it does. This does make you do that. I know I did that after this case started breaking the front door, the back door, checking the windows, making sure I didn't lift the window and just shut it down without locking it. I mean, it's crazy when we're on here. But I went from, you can ask my mom when she ever comes up here. She'll tell you, I used to be out. I was never home as much as I am now. But now that I'm covering true crimes, you know, I'm looking in my car. You know, I'm looking behind me before I open the door. It's you know, you almost have PTSD from doing this job.
Yeah, well, when I finish a shift at like 2:00 in the morning, and I walk into the car park on my own, and I get in the car, you know, like when I've been on the response car and I'm on my own. So I come out and I get in my own car, and it's dark, and the first thing I do is check the back seats. I can't get in the car until I've checked the back seats.
Yeah.
Covering this true crime, though, it does. It makes you like that.
It makes you paranoid. It makes you paranoid. So
what
do you
woman doesn't check the back seat like in the dark?
Yeah.
You know?
What do you think about the whole you know, Giglio, what was it? I can't remember the first name, but the Giglio letter that they put in on the case. Do you think that has relevance to this case, or was that past conduct? Do you think that somebody may have misrepresented something on one of the affidavits for him? I mean, they really haven't gone through that yet.
I don't know if it's in regards to the piece of DNA and the fact that they said on the affidavit that it went to the Idaho State lab when actually it went to the Texas lab, and whether it's anything to do with that, or Koberger was very, very much into wanting to help out the police. So whether he'd made friends, not met friends, but maybe he'd made acquaintances with certain police officers in the area, and then one of them just happened to be on the case. I'm not sure, to be honest.
Right.
But what do you make of that?
I'm not sure. I'm kind of conflicted. Like, I kind of believe that this may have happened because of the additional conduct stuff. I think it might have happened on a different case, and that he just happened to be working this case, and because he was attached to another case that had this stuff, you know, related to his conduct on it, that it may have seeped in because he was an investigator on this, and he needed to notify the defense that this officer was in another incident. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping it's not because of work that they've done specifically on this case. And I'm hoping that
because if that DNA gets thrown out because of them saying that it went to one lab when it actually went to another, and that got thrown out, that is one of the, I mean, I know they've got a lot of other stuff on him, but that is one of the biggest pieces of evidence that they have. And well, it's the only DNA that they've talked about. So if they can get that thrown out, it's certainly a win for the defense, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I just hope it's not that. But
I hope it's not that,
but
but the judge needs to weigh as to whether that really prejudiced the case of which place processed the DNA. I don't know if it's going to prejudice the case enough to get that thrown out because they made a typo or they thought it came back from one laboratory when it came back from another. So I'm hoping that if it is related to that they can overcome it.
Yeah. I
Because
hope
the
so.
expert witness is going to have to explain the process they used to derive a DNA from it anyways. And they obviously did have a DNA. If it was a mistake in communication error, because usually the person doing the report is typically not the person that acquired that from it, like it was handed to them. So they're in the laboratory, they've got the evidence, they're unsealing the evidence. It says it came from this lab. And so that's what they notated. It just seems like it might have just been a paperwork error.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
I hope so. But I think we need to prepare ourselves because I think the information that's going to come out, I think it's going to be quite eye-opening. I think there's a lot of stuff we know about that isn't going to be very good in relation to this case.
Yeah,
it's just awful. Makes me want to cry. I mean, people. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed that I make all those tribute videos of all those photos. I get it.
Well, hopefully it won't screw up that, but too bad. But I'm doing that. I'm monitoring the Letitia Stout case. I'm monitoring the Vallow case, which I really didn't cover in detail, so I'm fine with that. And then the West case, which I did follow and covered a few clips on, but segments on, but I didn't really dive into it until the Wests were actually arrested, and A.V. Watchman was there to do to film the arrest. When he did that, that's when I jumped in and started really investigating into the West boys, and boy, what an awful story I came across with that one. That's horrific.
When is that? I saw the trial was on. There was something about it last week.
Yeah.
And it was like the opening part of the trial, but then I've not seen anything since. So I'm like, is that on now?
Yeah, they took a week off. They did like the jury selection. It was really weird. They did the jury selection, and then something happened where they couldn't go to trial. They couldn't start the trial, so they did like a day, I think maybe, opening statements over a week ago, and now as of Monday of this week, it's full steam ahead.
Yeah, good, because those two, I mean, I just hope that they will rely on this evidence given by the kids, and they won't turn around and say, can you actually believe what they're saying because of their ages, because their ages, and they're giving evidence which is very damning for their age. Will they take them seriously? I'd like to hope so. They were in the house.
I think any person on that panel that has children, especially because of their age, they know when they're lying, fibbing, or because it's like little kids. They're taught to lie. They don't. When they're young, they don't know that there's such things as called a lie. So when mommy and daddy ask them something, they answer it, whether it's embarrassing or not. That's why they say, Mom, I pooped myself, or, because they don't know that's not something that you go into a restaurant and say, so they don't know to lie or to diminish what they're seeing. So the younger kids, I would be more apt to believing. The older kids can be manipulated. So, but I think any parent would be able to tell whether they're being truthful. I mean, especially the older ones, they're talking about their mom and dad, and nobody wants to be a witness against mom and dad. So that has to weigh on their mind as well. But these children,
I suppose they need to know that they're safe to be able to say these things, because if they know for any reason that they're going to be going back there, which I doubt it, they're not going to want to say anything. But it sounds like they've said a lot already. They touched on that the other day, didn't they? What the kids had been saying.
Yeah.
about when they last saw them, and yeah.
And I'm wondering what the West kids, the Wells kids are saying. You know, they've been away from their parents for over a year.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as they realize they're not going back, or there's no chance of them going back, maybe they will start to talk. These things take time, and sometimes it takes years for people to be able to speak out. For all we know, some of the kids might have been there with them that day, might have seen exactly what happened, and maybe they were too scared. You don't know if they've been threatened or if they were hurt. You know, you just don't know.
Right.
It's
But it's
sad.
crazy because we're watching some of these cases, like Letitia Stout and other cases, hearing stuff, and we're able to identify. It's like, that sounds just like this case, or that sounds like just like this case, or this, you know, this kind of has the feeling of this. It's crazy because you're starting to see all these different cases and different points that could be something that gets them in hot water. You know, they're not arrested yet. Like with the Wells, there was something about how she was acting and giving the interview and talking about herself and what she's going through. And it's like, that was Don Wells forever. He was talking more about how he was being treated than advocating for his daughter that was missing. And
yeah.
you know,
They had to remind him, didn't they? They used to have to remind him to say, like, what about Summer? This is your chance to say something.
Yeah.
And then he'd just go back into the sisters again. But what I'm finding interesting at the moment is that I've been on YouTube for nearly 2 years. I think it's about 2 years. And when I first started, a lot of the trials I was like, that were coming up, I didn't really know what they were about. But the cases that I was covering right at the very beginning of the channel are now going to trial. And that's quite interesting now, because I'm getting to follow through with the things that I've covered that are actually coming up at trial. So
yeah, it's nice.
So,
well,
I'm going to drop down.
Yeah,
I'm going to drop down.
It was nice to see your beautiful face this beautiful morning. So thank you. You brightened my day.
Thank you for having me on. And have a lovely afternoon. It's 2:00 here in the afternoon. So.
Oh wow, it's not even. It's just about to get to be 9 a.m. this morning, and I'm going to be heading out to. I got to get dressed now. I got to head out to the police department. I'm just going to sit out there. I'm not going to make much of a ruckus. I'm probably going to say a few things about Trenton and about the families involved, and then call it a day and start just, you know, winding down this portion and start doing the research for everything I need to do in Marion.
Very good. Very good. You've got a lot on, haven't you?
Yeah, I got a lot
going on.
All right, love. Well, it was great seeing you. And we'll do more of a formal thing once. I'll be back. And after this, I think I'm going to be home for at least a month. I got to finish cleaning up my office and getting that put back together.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so we'll do something more formal.
All right. Yeah, cool.
All right, love.
All right. See you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Sorry, I meant to wave, but I didn't realize that. There it is. Bye. All right, I'm going to bring Ann Horn back up. Hey, Ann, thanks for being so patient. I appreciate it. So
you're welcome.
That's our friend from across the pond. That's Crime Stories Obsessed. If anybody hasn't subbed up to her, please consider subbing up to her. So tell us about you. You've been going through it. You had your polyps taken off, which is good. You said they found the cancer. Are they planning on doing any kind of removal or?
Yes, they. I go next Monday to talk to him and get the chemo and the radiation and the surgery set up. I guess to remove the cancer, and I guess I'm assuming they're going to give me that colonoscopy bag.
Gotcha.
Do that, and then, you know, go through with the chemo. I don't know how it all works. I'll find out next Monday morning. Yeah. So I just know.
Are they going to have to take a section of your colon out?
Yeah. Oh. He's already said that yesterday. So we just, you know, I'll know more next Monday, and I'm scared, of course.
Yeah.
I'm worried, of course. But I dread doing everything. I really do. I dread it. I'm very, very, very sore today. I keep having some real sharp pains, and that's because of, they went in my colon
Yeah.
and cut out numerous polyps.
Yeah.
And so they went all the way through my colon and then into my intestines.
Hmm.
So I tell you one thing, this sure did spring on me quick,
Yeah.
and it's unbelievable. I mean, I'm like every day, every second, every hour, why me?
Mhm.
Why me? Um, because I've got my accidents group I need to keep taking care of, and all these closed donations for fire victims, and then working at the church down the road here with the food drive, helping with that. So,
Mhm.
my work on earth is not done, and I
Yeah.
don't want God to take me yet. I mean, I just want these doctors and God to really work their tails off to get me cleaned up, straightened out, and get this out of my system.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, I hurt very bad. Um,
Aw.
try to hide the pain, but it's there. And some moments of the day and night, I can't hide it. There's just no way I can't. So
Right.
I'm having a rough time, with that, struggling with bills and worrying about everything. And being here by myself, it's kind of tough on me.
Yeah, I hate loneliness. Loneliness sucks, and that's why I travel a lot, more so than I did before my divorce. I did travel a lot, but I stayed in Florida when I was married. I didn't travel out of state like I do now.
Yeah.
So,
With all this going on, I can't really trust myself going anywhere because I'm miserable. And when I
yeah,
get around people, that's all. I mean, I don't want to bring it up, but God, when the pain hits you, you can't help but scream it out, you know,
right.
and it's hard to keep it up under your breath. So,
So, how
um,
long's the healing process for the polyps being removed?
um, I didn't talk to him. The preacher's wife down the street, she's the one that took me, and he talked to her. And she didn't really go into details with me because I was still droggy and everything from the anesthesia.
Mm-hmm.
So, she's going probably come over later today and talk to me more and tell me more what he said. Um, she brought me over some supper last night because I was told I wasn't allowed to clean or cook.
Mm-hmm.
Once I got home, which I didn't, and I tried to sleep as much as I could, but this pain wakes you up, and it's terrible. I mean, the
Wow.
whole time I've been sitting here this morning, I've been hurting, and you know, it's just I don't wish this pain on nobody. And
Yeah.
then on top of the everything yesterday, the soreness, it hurts. It
Yeah, I
hurts
bet.
bad. So
Well, that's
um,
one thing. I've watched. I've had several friends that have had cancer, and it's never something that's pretty. But hopefully, you caught it in time where they can, get it out of your body, rid yourself of it, and you can have plenty of life left. So you're just all we can do is pray. Don't get yourself worked up. Don't get yourself too worried because you need to keep your strength.
yeah. Um, I'm trying. I'm trying. It's just tough and hard. It's real hard. Um, I know I'm strong. I know I'm a fighter. And I'm doing the best I can to struggle with it. and to, try to beat it.
Yeah.
I'm being very positive about the whole situation. It's just if we could get this pain, that's where the
Other
negativity
people.
comes in.
Yeah.
Is the pain. It makes me want to give up. And honestly, I can't give up. I can't. But
Right.
we all know that. I got too much community work to do. So, I may not be on here much, get on here and
Yeah.
get to see you and listen to you on these cases that you cover, and Dolly covers. I just, I don't get it. I'm not really into everything right now.
Right.
Um, so it's tough. It's very tough. I don't wish that C word on
Yeah, it's
nobody.
nasty. It's nasty stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I remember when I was younger, my one of my great uncles, he had cancer on his face and never. I mean, it was just eating his face. It was. My family was. He wouldn't go to the doctor. So
Yeah.
.
It's tough. It's
Yeah.
very tough.
Well, Ann, I didn't realize I've already got people already out at the police department. I got to get out of here, so I need to start heading that way.
All right,
So
listen,
I'll be back on here later this afternoon. Come back later this afternoon when I go live, and we'll continue this conversation, because I know a lot of people are dealing with the same kind of stuff you're dealing with, and it'll be good for them.
Yeah, I got a Cash App now and kind of need a little bit of help here and there. If I can post it in the chat, do you mind?
I don't know if you can post in the chat without being a mod, but you can post it on my community on my Facebook. But if you give it to me, I'll post it.
It's the $, capital A, and then
Hold on. I got it. I just hit something and it screwed up. Hold on. It screwed up my whole. There we go. Sorry. So now I'm over here and I got to do $ and A. Okay.
The capital A, and then runt, RUNT, RUNT.
All right. I posted it in here, but if you'd like more help, you might want to go over to my true crime page on YouTube or on Facebook and post it in there as well.
What your regular Bullhorn Betty?
True crime, my true crime Facebook page. So it's the group. It's the group, not on my page because I don't have as many people as in my group.
Okay, send me that link.
Okay.
And in a private message, and I'll do it.
Okay.
But anyway, I appreciate it. And if you are up here Friday, I would love to see you.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide now, but right now the way I'm going to do it is I'm leaving here in the morning and I can go over to Marion, stay there, do my work there Wednesday and Thursday, and hopefully be back to Savannah Friday. It depends on where this next case takes me. If I have people talking and I have places to go, I'll need to continue going down that avenue. But if I don't and I get all my work done, I'm going to be at that hearing for Leilani. So I'll let you know as soon as I get through my day on Thursday.
All right. Well, you got my phone number, so if you don't catch me on Facebook or Messenger or anything, just call me.
Okay, will do.
Call me and I'll try to meet up with you. It just depends on how I'm feeling.
Okay.
So, I mean,
all right, love bug. Well, I've got to run, and I don't mean to rush you. Trust me, I don't mean to rush you, but I just realized I didn't check my messages, and some people were already there at like 8:30, and I'm still here, so I got to get out of here.
All right, yeah, because I need to get off here too and try to lay down for a few minutes. I'm in a lot of pain right now. I'm hurting, and I guess that's why I'm crying. Because when the pain gets so bad, it makes me cry. So
yeah, I'm sorry, honey. I'm so sorry.
It's
I'll call you later tonight.
Okay, hon. I
All right,
love
love
you.
you.
Thanks for all you do.
You
Thank you,
got it. You
everybody in
too.
chat. Please
All
keep
right,
the
love bug.
prayers coming.
Yeah, they love you.
I know. I appreciate it too.
All right,
Thanks.
love bug. I'm
All
sorry. I
right.
wish I could spend more time with you, but we will pick this conversation up later. And we'll
I
bring it up here
understand.
so you can talk, because there's other people going through it. And if other people are going through it, they're going to need, not only do you need support, but they're going to need support too.
Yeah. I appreciate all the love and the support and the prayers and hugs from everybody. I really do. I really do. But I'll talk to you soon.
All right. I love you. Let me turn my camera back on so I can wave to you. I just turned it off so it didn't it didn't make the live, whatever. I love you.
I love you too. I blew you a kiss.
All right. Mwah. Back at you.
Thanks,
All right.
son.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, guys, so we're back. I gotta go. I was dressing. I got dressed while Ann was talking because I didn't realize that I already have some people down there. Just give Ann all your love and support, and make sure if you see her in other chats, you say hi to her. Let her know you're thinking of her. She's one of our own here. I met her personally. Just a wonderful soul. And she really does try to make the world and her community a better place than when she got here. So she's just a blessing to all, and just want to make sure that her story is heard. So we will have her back up to kind of tell her story and tell what she's been going through. Maybe it'll help some people in the audience or help them with maybe some ailing family members. But we are a family here, and one of ours is in pain and is suffering. So we want to do absolutely everything in our power to embrace her and uplift her. So anyways, guys, I love you. God bless you. I'm not going to do the exit that I normally do. I just need to kill this live. I've got to get on the road, and I'll talk to you guys soon. God bless.